particular, you deal with what oftentimes we don't talk about, which is sexual abuse within the family. And I'm just interested in knowing how was that an issue to overcome, and if you had felt vulnerable in terms of putting your story out there, and how did you deal with that?
This was a very vulnerable process for me. One, because a lot of things, I'm the oldest child of teenage parents who almost came to this earth to protect my brother and sister. So there's a lot of things that happened that they weren't really privy to. So I was conscious of, like she said, not making them feel a certain kind of way, but liberating myself and being able to share my story. So one thing, I wanted to write the story for a long time, but I had to figure out how to write it in a way that I put the spotlight on me and not alienate other people. The second thing is, I've done so much. The work that I've done with Yolanda, I have really fixed my life. So I've done so much forgiveness work and so much just work on myself that a lot of the stuff that's in the book does not trigger me anymore. So to be able to tell the story in a good story kind of way, I was concerned about that as well. So my solution is I gathered a community of sisters. So 5 of us actually wrote this book. And as Spirit would have it, they all knew me, they didn't know each other. There were women that I picked up sort of along the way over the past few years who would say, I want to be a writer, I want to be a writer. And they just didn't really have, they hadn't written anything, but they had this burning desire to be a writer. So I said, okay, let's come together and write my story. And in a very coaching manner, I laid the framework, I did the outline for the story. And again, I don't have a lot of connection, emotional connection to it. So one of the ladies is a great emotional writer. So I gave her that task. One of the ladies is a great narrator. So I gave her that task. The other lady is my best friend since high school, who's a psychotherapist, who has been my therapist by default for 30 years. It must be nice to have a best friend as a psychotherapist. So I brought her in to shed the therapy piece in the book. And then I met a young lady. I did a sabbatical with Yolanda about 3 years ago and met this 25-year-old sister from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And for whatever reason, from the time we got off the airplane at the airport, she just stuck to me like glue the whole weekend. And she said, I want to be an inspirational writer. And, you know, we were real grown people up in that group. And she was like the baby, so we treated her like the baby the whole weekend. But she blew my mind in terms of her level of inspiration. So she is the one who wrote the love notes and the love letters that are in the book, and they will transform you, anybody. So that was our process. We kind of just created this assembly line in terms of the roles that everybody would play. Everybody supported me through telling the story, and even in doing my own therapy with an actual therapist that wasn't just my friend, and others.